We are so happy to have Brian Fryer here from TVFCU. The topic today is mortgages and the fact that yes, indeed, you can have a mortgage if you are in the market to buy a house. So good to see you.
Good to see you again. Thank you for
It's
having me.
always nice to put a positive spin on a somewhat frightening situation.
Yeah.
Across the board, though, Brian, no matter who you talk to, it seems to be that you have to be a little bit creative and a little bit willing to endure it.
Yep.
To get a mortgage these days?
Well, creative is one word. Also, doing your homework, doing a little bit of research. Diving in on the internet, finding out as much as you can, finding out what a mortgage is. Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, I do recommend any type of mortgage classes you can take to learn about mortgages. Learning, that a mortgage is it's a security instrument tied to the home. Basically, it's a loan tied to the home.
Right.
That's basically what a mortgage is.
Depending on how you choose to approach it, because money in all ways is your own personal view of it. How we all choose to spend and use our money is different.
Yeah.
But for an awful lot of people, most of us, having a home, owning a home is security.
Correct. It is, and it's one of the biggest ways to build wealth in our country.
It also gives you some control because when you come to the credit union, if that's who you choose to use for your mortgage, chances are you'll leave with a fixed mortgage rate, right?
Yeah, generally, that's the most popular.
So that you know going into it what your monthly payment's going to be, as opposed to rent, where they can go up on you.
Correct. Rent can always change. You don't have any control over that. Whereas if you own a home, you have the control over that. Your terms of your loan that you take out in the beginning, and that's why it's important to do your research and find a good lender. Hopefully, TVFCU you'll work with, but find a good lender who can walk you through that process. And also, if you're buying a home, you want to make sure you get with a good realtor, realtor that knows the community in the area.
So I'm like a lot of people. I've got daughters who are 19 and 26, and so they're in that age range where they're saying, gee, Mama and Dad, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to even own a home. They hear the headlines, but they don't necessarily know how to do it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the creative way, because there are even some ways to put no money down.
There's different types of loans. Everybody hears about conventional and then government loans. Your conventional is going to be your Fannie Mae, your Freddie Mac, or your portfolio loans, which entities such as TVFCU, we do portfolio lending. We loan it to our own rules, basically. But then you also have government loans, which are VA or FHA. There's another tool. And a lot of those different types of programs, like TVFCU's portfolio loans, we offer no money down financing. Or you can go to the government route with a VA. If you're a veteran or spouse of a veteran, you can get a VA loan at 100% financing, same as our portfolio loans. Or if you want to go the FHA route, you can get into a home as little as 3% down. And then conventional financing generally requires 5% down.
So there was a time where the market was just so crazy that what you wanted to have as a buyer was everything lined up to let your offer be the one that the seller took.
Yes.
That slowed down a little bit?
It still holds true. I've always said it didn't matter where the market is. You want to be ready for that opportunity. So yes, a couple of years ago we were having bidding wars, and we talked earlier about some people making offers $50,000 above market price. We're not seeing that right now. It's definitely a seller's market, but we're not seeing those bidding wars going on. Now, I always tell everybody, be prepared. Go ahead and get pre-qualified. Talk to a mortgage professional. Do your homework, of course, and get that pre-qualification letter in your hand. And that way, when you're ready to pull the trigger, you can go ahead and make that offer because people are finding, yes, we are in a low inventory environment, very, very low inventory, so it's hard to find homes in price ranges sometimes. So you want to be ready. You want to have that letter if that opportunity arises, because there are still deals out there to be had.
The trends in home ownership change. So like in my day, when I bought my first home, we bought our first home, if you were to have like an FHA loan, a non-conventional loan, spelled trouble in a way for a seller. They didn't like that type of loan as much. So your chances of getting the bid were less likely. I think that's changed, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, FHA government loans aren't a negative. They're actually a positive. The rates on those are good. It's a little bit more opportunity as far as borrowers to get financed. Sometimes the terms can be better sometimes on government type loans. VA especially. VA are some of the best tools to purchase a home if you're a veteran. They have great terms with VA. FHA does too. Conventional, is still in the history of mortgage rates. I've been doing this for about 26 years, so rates right now, everybody's like, well, they're high. I'm like, well, they're higher than they were, but they're still historically not super high.
Right.
The challenge we are seeing, though, is the price of
Is the
homes.
pricing.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about something else y'all are offering right now. I had forgotten all about ARMs. They were all the thing a while back. They're coming back.
Yeah, they are, and the reason is because rates have gone up some. The expectation is, most industry analysts is, rates are going to come back down. Now, time period, we don't really know when they're going to come back down. I know the Fed, has a lot to do with that as far as what they do, keeping inflation in check. But the expectation is rates will come back down. Will they come back down to what they were, that during the pandemic? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. That was, that we haven't seen that very often. But rates are expected to come back down. So ARMs are a good tool to use right now because generally most of your ARMs, same with TVFCU, can be a fixed term, 5-year, 7-year, or a 10-year. That gives you the low interest rate fixed for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years and gives you time to refinance when the rates do drop.
Right.
So,
but by then you've built up some equity in the home.
And you've built up some equity too within 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, built up some equity too, and then you have a little bit better position that you're sitting in as far as
and when you refinance, if you were to go the ARM route, which right now y'all have one at just under 6%, right?
Correct. We're running a special until the end of this month. If you lock your loan on a purchase for a primary residence at 5.99%, it's a 5-year ARM. So it's a 30-year loan, but it's fixed for 5.99%.
That's good.
For 5 years.
Okay, so if you were to do that though, and let's say that the market changed and in 6 or 7 years you did decide to refinance. There are some closing costs that are associated with that, right?
Yep.
So you can either just lump that back into the mortgage or you can pay that out of pocket at closing.
You can do either one. Just take the costs and roll them in, if you have the equity in the home, or you can pay them out of pocket. And that's kind of the strategy a lot of people are doing right now. They're taking the ARM. Some people are doing rate buy downs, but this ARM special we're running is great because you don't buy down the rate. It's already at 5.9.
You keep your money.
Correct. You keep your money. So in some instances you can get in the home with not a whole lot down or not having to pay much towards closing costs,
Right.
but you get that low interest rate. And it is fixed for 5 years. So it's a great tool because it gets people in the home at a low interest rate, a lower payment, and their strategy is to refinance it within 5 years or so. And that's what we're seeing a lot of people doing right now rather than a buy down, because buy downs can be expensive on the interest rate.
Everybody hopes to beat the dealer in blackjack. We're all hoping to be the one to get the win at the table. It's hard to know though because we've got that perfect storm of the rates are still not what they were, and the initial pricing of houses. You said the median price now is $317,000.
$317,000, $319,000. Last I checked, the Chattanooga median price. So we have seen values go up, which is great for homeowners because you always want to, your wealth and your value of your home. But the negative can be for new home buyers or for people wanting to sell their home, and that's great for a seller. But then if you want to go out and buy, sometimes it is a little bit harder.
So would your advice be, this might be more of a realtor question, but if you are looking to, maybe as a first-time home buyer, if you're in a good rental position, sit tight and just kind of watch and see how things shift, because if they continue to go up in price, then you're just missing out every day.
Yeah, that's one thing we always say, well, I'm going to wait, for a year or two. And prices come down. Well, it's not something we're really seeing. We have seen the market level off, but we're not really seeing, especially in our area, prices come down. So, but I will say renting does buy you time. So if you're not ready, if you can't qualify right now, I always tell people don't push it. Don't push it. Work on your credit, work on your down payment, work on your reserves that you put back, and put yourself in a better position if right now is not the right time.
Yeah, because once you buy that house and something happens to the kitchen sink, that one's on you, not the landlord.
Yeah, you do want to have reserves. Always recommend that.
You can learn more online. They're happy to work with you virtually, or they'd love to schedule an appointment with you if you want to go in and talk about mortgages with Brian and his team. TVFCU.com. As you heard him say, he's been doing this for 26 years, so he knows a thing or two. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks for having me.